Hey there, Tom here from the Run Testers. In this video, we're going to be doing a versus of the Asics Metaspeed Sky Tokyo and the Adidas Adios Pro 4. Let's take a look. The Asics Metaspeed Sky Tokyo costs £240 or $270. It weighs 158 grams or 5.6 ounces for men in a size 8, and the drop is 5mm. The Adidas Adios Pro 4 costs £220 or $250. It weighs 196 grams or 6.9 ounces for men in a size 8, and the drop is 6mm. The Metaspeed Sky Tokyo is a high-performance race shoe made for runners who increase speed by opening up their stride. It's designed to provide increased efficiency when runners take longer steps, helping you to hold your pace longer into a race. Inside the midsole, there are two foams working together. On the bottom, there's FF Leap, a light and bouncy foam that cushions landings and gives you a high level of energy return with each push-off. On top of that is FF Turbo Plus, which adds responsiveness and improves the support of the ride. Compared to the Metaspeed Edge, which is built for high cadence runners, this version has a thicker midsole up front and a higher plate position. Other features include a lightweight Motion Wrap 3.0 upper, an Asics grip rubber outsole that provides grip on a variety of terrain, and secure fitting laces. There are a few shoes that are seen at the start line of races as much as the Adios Pro series, and the Adios Pro 4 is no exception. The latest version takes learnings from its predecessor but makes a few updates to improve the overall performance of the shoe. The most noticeable of those changes is the updated Lightstrike Pro foam that sits either side of the NG Rods 2.0. This lighter formulation of the material aims to improve the bounce of the ride, working alongside an updated rocker geometry to ensure a high level of energy return when running at speed. The outsole features an interesting combination of light traction rubber across the majority of the shoe, with a small area of continental on the forefoot to improve traction at toe off. The aim here being to minimise weight while still providing performance benefits. There's also an updated light lock woven mesh upper designed to be breathable while still ensuring a supportive lockdown fit.
So when it comes to the fit of the two shoes, I have a UK 9 in both, but the fit is different around the rest of the world. With Adidas, it's a US 9.5, and with the Asics, it's a US 10. So I definitely would look at the rest of the world sizing, even if you're in the UK when you're trying to compare these two shoes. I've had no real problems at all with the fit on the Asics. I would say the fit's been very comfortable for me. I've got enough room around the toes without it being too spacious. I would say the Metaspeed Sky Tokyo are a little less spacious than cushion shoes in the Asics range, like the Nose Blast. You have a slightly more dialed in fit around the toes, but that works for me really well. Good fit around the heel and midfoot as well. I would say with the Adios Pro 4, like even accounting for the fact this is a half size smaller in the US than the Asics, I think it comes up a little bit short still. I would say if you look at the sizing for it, even if you're looking at the centimeter sizing or the US sizing, the EU sizing, I think it's more than a half size smaller really than the Asics. So I do think you have to be careful with the fit around the toes. Also because of the way the upper's designed, there have been cases of it lifting the toenails of runners and that, because it's almost like a little lip here your nails can catch on. So yeah, if you can get the right fit around there, the rest of the fit is fine though, I would say on the Adidas. I've got a good hold around the heel and midfoot, and it was a comfortable shoe for long runs. I was just a bit too close to the front, but even then it was kind of okay. But yeah, definitely want to investigate the sizing of quite fully and maybe look at centimeters in particular, because it feels like even slightly less roomy than other Adidas shoes I have in the same size.
Okay, so the fit for me in these two shoes, the Asics Metaspeed Sky Tokyo, very good fit in this. I'm a size 8 in the UK, I've got this in a UK size 8. There's plenty of space in the forefoot, more than I would expect in a performance race shoe probably. It's definitely a nice roomy fit around the forefoot for me. And the midfoot as well is actually relatively roomy. It doesn't feel like it's a very tight shoe. So I did have to tighten it to get a nice lockdown fit, but once you do that, you do get a very nice lockdown fit. But there is a little bit more space in the shoe, but I would definitely stay to my UK size 8 in it. The Adidas Adios Pro 4. Now, I got a little bit excited with this shoe, so I bought this when I was in Manchester doing Manchester Marathon, and I really wanted a pair of these, and the only ones I could find were a size 8. And I wish I'd got half a size up, because it's definitely too small for me. My toes do almost touch the end of the shoe, and I've not had any issues with it on the run, but I definitely am scared when I go for long runs in this shoe that I'm going to get a bit of rubbing. So I definitely go up half a size in it. As for the rest of the fit, it's fine. I think it's a little bit more space would be great. So yeah, go up half size in the Adios Pro 4. Okay, so these are two very, very good carbon plate race shoes, and there are similar benefits to both of them. I'll start with the Metaspeed Sky Tokyo. So I really like the shoe. I've always liked the Metaspeed range, but it's never been one of my top 3 favorite race shoes. So the previous Metaspeed Sky and the Metaspeed Sky Paris, I've not tried any of the other versions. I've only tried the Skies. Both I think were very good. I didn't really pick them up for races that I really cared about. They were fine. I used them for quite a few races, but they were never my top pick for like a PB attempt or anything like that. Whereas the Metaspeed Sky Tokyo, I think the changes that have been made to this shoe have improved it to the point where it is now one of the top race shoes on my list. I'd definitely pick this if I was going out to do a PB. I haven't really been out trying to get many PBs recently, but I have used this for 5k and 10k distances and found it to be really good. I got pretty close to my PB in this shoe for 10k, and I think that really comes down to the fact that it just feels like everything works with it. Really light on the feet. It's got a nice little bit of bounce in it, an energy return, but it also feels quite nippy as well from that combination of the plate with the midsole foam. Feels like it's just nipping you along, really quick acceleration in it, but also has that energy return so that when you're running consistently, you're still getting a nice level of bounce. So I think it's got a bit of everything, this shoe, but it really comes down to the fact that you get all of that in a really light package. So really like the Asics Metaspeed Sky Tokyo. The Adidas Adios Pro 4, I'll stop saying the full name in a bit, is a really good shoe as well. So the Pro 3, I like the Pro 3. It just didn't do a lot for me. It definitely didn't have the bounce that I like from my carbon plate shoes. I'm much more likely to use the Alpha Fly 1 for races that I had, and I tend to use the Pro 3 for longer runs, marathon training sessions, things like that. I never really wanted to use it for a race, and I did racing up to half marathon a couple of times, but it was fine. I think the main benefit of that shoe was that it was a bit more accessible. It was a bit more sturdy in the midsole, so it's quite easy for people to pick that shoe up and have it as a first carbon plate shoe, or people who needed a little bit more stability in their carbon plate shoes. But it lacked a bit of energy for me, lacked a bit of bounce, lacked a bit of excitement. The Adios Pro 4 has a lot more bounce in it. The Lightstrike Pro midsole is softer. It's definitely got a bit more energy return in it. Feels like there's a lot more to this shoe. It feels like you're getting more back when you're running in it. So it's really good. I think it's definitely one of the top 5 race shoes out at the moment. Maybe 5 to 10, but it's a fantastic shoe. It feels very nice, very quick, very light on the feet when you're out running short distances, but it also feels like you get that nice comfortable level of bounce and energy return when you're running longer distances in it as well. So I think for me the difference really comes down to the feel of the ride, and I think it's the Metaspeed Sky Tokyo just feels a little bit more propulsive, a little bit more aggressive in how it's making you run. It definitely feels like a shoe that's trying to make you run faster. It's putting your foot into a position that's making you run faster. Whereas the Pro 4 is more, it's not far off, but it's more comfortable for me and less aggressive. So you can definitely get very fast times in this shoe. I just think the Metaspeed Sky Tokyo feels a little bit more racy for me over every distance that I've run in it.
On to the run test, and I've done about 200 kilometers of running in the Asics Metaspeed Sky Tokyo, and I've done about 110 kilometers in the Adidas Adios Pro 4, and I suppose that does speak to my preferences straight away. I keep going back to the Asics. It's the shoe that I've used to run my main races recently, running a half marathon PB and a 2:24 at the Loch Ness Marathon. So yeah, it is the shoe I prefer of the two, more or less. I did the same kind of training in both of these shoes, and then when it came to race day, the Asics is the one I prefer, which we'll dive into, but the Adidas is also an excellent carbon plate running shoe. I do think it's a really impressive one. It's a bit cheaper as well, and there are some different characteristics to its ride, which might mean that some people actually prefer it to the Asics, I'd say. I think the main one about that is just, it's a little bit softer and a little bit cushier, I would say, the Adidas, and how it feels on the foot. Like the Asics is also a really soft shoe, but there's different kind of softness. I think the Adidas is maybe a little bit more protective, and it gives you maybe a slightly more reliable landing zone around the heel. Like it's still not a particularly wide shoe at the back there, but it does feel quite stable to me landing there as a heel striker. You get a nice fast transition onto the forefoot, that sharp rocker there as well. You've got a good foam in the midsole. I think it does give you a lot of response. I've not had any signs of it, losing that level of springiness for me so far. Don't think it's quite as impressive as the foam combination you have in the Asics, which I do think gives you a bit more kind of punch and response. But overall, the setup on the Adidas is really good. Like it's very fast. You can turn over quickly. It's a pretty lightweight shoe. Like it's actually a very lightweight shoe, but the Asics is even lighter still. So that is definitely a point in the Asics' favour. But It's definitely a shoe that gives you a lot of comfort and cushioning for the long haul, looking at stuff like marathons, but has that nippiness you want for short reps as well, and short races. I've done an all-out park run in the Adidas, and I've also used it for a 50-mile long run. No complaints about comfort or speed, really. It's just I do think you get a bit more punch out of the Asics with the way the foam is set up here, with the plate being slightly higher in the midsole under the forefoot in particular. That's the thing I really like about the Sky Tokyo and the Sky shoes in general within the Metaspeed range. Just for me, I find it gives a really nice amount of pop off the forefoot. Even when I'm struggling at the end of races and tiring, I can roll through and get a lot of bounce and energy from the shoe. And that for me is improved further with the FF Leap foam in the midsole on the Sky Tokyo, which is a really soft and springy foam. And landing at the hill, there's a massive wedge of it there. It's not the most stable, and I think you've got a slightly more secure landing, maybe in the Adidas, but then the transition is very fast, and you get actually quite a stable feeling through the midfoot with the Asics for me, and then all that pop off the forefoot. It really does feel like all the energy is going straight through to the front of the shoe, and then bouncing you on your way. It's also super lightweight, definitely a good shoe for short races, but it was comfortable enough for me on the marathon in Loch Ness, which had quite a lot of downhill in it, which was quite a lot of impact, and it protected the legs well enough that I was able to finish okay. Not strongly, I wasn't finishing strongly, but I finished pretty well in the shoe, and I do think it had enough protection for me over that distance. So I did do a short run wearing both shoes at the same time, and yeah, it's strange, because the Asics is a soft shoe, but the Adidas does feel that a little bit more comforting almost to land in. It does feel like it's giving you a little bit of stability at the back there. I think around the midfoot, it loses that a little bit because you have that medial cutout, but the transition is smooth enough for me that I haven't any concerns with stability in the Adidas, and you get that nice sharp rocker at the end. So yeah, it's just a really good racing shoe, but I just find that the Asics gives me a slightly faster feeling, a poppier feeling, the way the plate's set up, the foam's in there, the fact it's a lighter shoe, all add up to just being a slightly more effective racing shoe for me. On to verdict then, and these are both excellent racing shoes in my opinion. You could use either for races of any distance and they would help carry you to your PB. I think there will be a slight difference in which shoes people prefer based on running styles, but for me, the Asics Metaspeed Sky Tokyo is the shoe I prefer. I get a faster feeling from it. It's got the objective benefit of being a fair bit lighter than the Adidas, and it still has enough cushioning and comfort for the long haul for me, and then turns over really fast and gives you a load of punch off the toes, and it gives you that high amount of energy return even when you're struggling a bit. I never feel as laboured at the end of hard runs and races in the Asics as I do in other shoes, even including the Adidas, which is a great carbon shoe, like I say. I think there are some benefits to the Adidas. I do think it gives you a slightly cushier feeling, and it might be a better option for marathons for some people as well, because I do think you get a slightly more comfort there, although you will have to watch out for that medial cutout maybe if you're running a little slower. I think maybe the instability there could be a bit of a concern. I do think it's a really nice balance of weight and cushion for the marathon. I find that the Asics is cushioned enough for me, and I prefer the way it feels even for those longer distances. One objective benefit to the Adidas though is a fair bit cheaper. Adidas also has, I think, a better record than Asics for reducing its top racing shoes. Like the Adios Pro 4 does pop up, especially if you have a slightly less common size, you might well get a really good deal on the Adidas. And if you do see it for a lot less than the Asics, I wouldn't hesitate. I don't think the gap between them is massive, and like I say, some of it will just be down to personal preferences of mine. But yeah, if you're seeing them at normal price, both there, they're both available. I think the Asics is the better racing shoe for me over any distance, especially for the shorter ones. The marathon, maybe get a bit more comfort from the Adidas, but the Asics has it for me at all distances. I would pick the Metaspeed Sky Tokyo.
So my verdict on these two shoes, pretty easy one actually. I do think these are both very good shoes. I really like the improvements that have been made to the Adios Pro 4. I do think that the fact that it's a little bit softer now has made it a little bit more unstable, so it's not necessarily as good as the 3 for some people. I prefer it to the 3. I think it's much better, more enjoyable, bouncier, a lot more energy return in it. But also I do think for some people it might be a little bit too unstable in comparison to the previous version of the shoe, but it's a solid all-round shoe. I think it ticks a lot of boxes for every single race distance, and I'd be happy to use this for any race distance as well. I just think the Metaspeed Sky Tokyo, there's just more to it. It just feels lighter on the feet. It just feels a little bit nippier, a little bit more aggressive. It feels like it's really putting your foot into that position to run quickly, and that midsole foam isn't far off the Lightstrike Pro, to be honest, but it just feels to me like there's just a little bit more speed in the midsole foam, but it doesn't lose any of the bounce and the cushioning that you want for longer distance training as well. So out of these two shoes, they're both great, and I think really if you could get one of these significantly cheaper than the other one, I'd probably do that. But if it came down, if price wasn't a point, I would say that the Asics Metaspeed Sky Tokyo is by far the superior shoe when it comes to those performance gains and just the speed and the energy return that you get from it. So it's a much better package all round than the Adios Pro 4 for me. That's it from us on this Versus. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that little bell. And if you're going to catch me below, you can find it to our podcast, which comes out a couple of times each month. Thanks a lot for watching. Catch you next time.